But now, let's get started with the second semi-final of the Hearthstone.fi Monday Night Community Tournament number 22, powered by Fractio. We have the Ukrainian player Juristis playing versus danyfreak from Spain. And I will just go ahead and tell them to start the match. And we'll get to watching it as soon as they've made their picks. Both players have Rogue and Warrior, but the differentiating class is Priest for Dany and Shaman for Juristis. We're gonna go ahead and start watching it from Dany's point of view. He's decided to start with the Priest, and Juristis is going with the Oil Rogue.
The light shall bring victory.
Of course, Juristis will have to invite me to spectate because of the fact that he doesn't have the spectate mode enabled. And there we go.
Job done.
His starting hand looks pretty solid, except maybe for the sap. The sap won't be very useful in the early game. SI7 combined with the coin, very solid situation to be in. You can actually go ahead and combo off the Pyromancer immediately. This hand from the Priest is very slow. Sylvanas for turn 6, Shadow or Death for big targets. There aren't likely to be any big targets in this Oil Rogue before he gets his combo off from the oil play. This mind control also way too slow. Maybe the Okina Soul Priest on turn 4 will be able to contest these 3/3 drops. Oh, like the Olodyn Farseer and this SI7 agent. But I don't think anything else in Dany's hand right now is very useful. He got the preparation for turn 7 mind control or the free sap, but none of these targets are something you want to sap back into the rogue's hand. Basically, the Okina being the only choice right now. Unfortunately for him, the rogue has got all the answers required to handle it and keep pushing the advantage with the Pallet Shredder perfectly on curve. Turn 5 Lothep, more than likely. There's no reason to hold on to it when you're playing against a Priest. But this Dark Cultist, 3/4, gonna get combined with the Sap, actually. Just so the Pallet Shredder cannot get the value trade into the 3/4. That's a pretty good decision right there. Most players would have probably just gone for the heal for his own face. And the 4/3 Shredder would have been able to take care of the Cultist before its Death Rattle has a target to rattle on, so to speak. This Sylvanas probably going to get popped down on turn 6, unless... Nope, he can't play the Shadow Work Death. Of course he can't play it because of the Lothep. And the Sylvanas contests the opposing board very efficiently, forcing the Lothep to trade into it. And the Dark Cultist is still left in the play. Juristis will still be able to develop his board fairly handsomely. He might even go for the sap play onto Sylvanas because that is a big tempo swing in this tournament. Thank you, Ember, for taking part. We always appreciate our players making a comeback. Turn 7, you have Dr. Boom. You're gonna play Dr. Boom. It's pretty straightforward. The Sludge Belcher would not be a threat versus the Lothep. It would give you a bit more hit points, but it's not worth it. And with the prep, you're gonna get the free Shadow Work Death anyway to take care of the opposing 5/5. And once you had a bad situation which looked in favor of the rogue, you now have the Dr. Boom solely dominating the board. Juristis doesn't have any AoEs right now in his hand. He could Drake for something, he'd try and fish answers. One Golden Drake and one normal Drake. Some pro players say that it is not a good decision to mix golden cards with common cards, because then if you get things thought stolen or what have you, the opposing player will be able to tell whether or not you're running, or which version of the card you're running. It was a small but significant reason why they don't usually mix normal and golden cards in decks. I don't remember the exact reason right now though. One of those boom bots taken out, dealing only 1 damage to the Azure Drake. Pretty much the best possible situation. When you're Danny, you can safely assume that you want to go for maximum face damage right now with the 7/7 Dr. Boom. And if you're gonna draw cards from the Power Word Shield, I believe you should do it first. He's doing fairly fast matches, fairly fast plays. Committing to these decisions without drawing first is a risk to take, because one of those cards that you draw into might influence your plays. Getting the Dr. Boom from the opposing side of the board as a golden version as well, that's pretty sweet, is significant, because now, even though the opposing Boom is buffed to be a 7/9, you still have the Boom bots required to finish him off. Now if he attacks with the 7/9 into the 7/7 and then heals off the Dr. Boom with the hero power, the situation is a little bit different. But if you heal, then you can't play any of your minions this turn either. The Circle of Healing will enable you to make sure that the Doctor stays alive, unless the RNG is really badly against you. This sap probably gonna get used on the Sludge Belcher. But before that, what are the other options? Well, you don't have any prep to sprint on, you don't have the card potential to sprint on. So first playing the Drake to see what the draw brings. Tinker Sharp Sword Oil. Yeah, you could push yourself up to 4 damage on one of these minions, but I think the sap is still the more stronger option. And now you're just going for those rolls. Come on, big damage. Nope. Now it's a 50% chance to deal 3 or 4 damage onto Dr. Boom, and first a 50% chance to even hit the Doctor. Unfortunately, this time, no hits. The 7/3 stays on board. With the CLC deckhand, you could have also dealt 2 damage. And that 2 damage would have been very significant had one of those boom bots rolled more than 1. Let's see, how much was it? 1 from the attack, 1 from the proc. Yeah, if it had procced for 2 or more, so a 75% chance to get better damage into it, you would not have been forced to face tank the Doctor like this. Although it is unlikely that a priest has 8 damage burst potential, you're still in a bit of a bad position. Mind controlling the Azure Drake makes sense, since you are removing the spell damage component from the opposing side of the board, and it is one of the biggest possible drops that an oil rogue usually runs. So the mind control would not have had any more targets worth more than the 4/4. Not really. The 3/3 SI7 agent comboing off with the backstab to clear out the break. And the plays coming on this turn pretty much write themselves, holding onto the Norshark card in his hand so he can assure he'll get draws out of it when he plays it down. Getting the Blade Flurry from the other Thought Steal also means that it is a completely dead card in Danny's hand. There will be no weapons to proc it on, it will deal only 0 damage. And it cannot be played because there is no weapon. I believe that's the way it works. You have to have a weapon for it to be able to be cast. Even if you had the spell power minion, it would deal 1, but you don't have the weapon required. Now, Juristis fairly... Yeah, the Fan of Knives does destroy the Thalnose. It does draw you a new card, give you options to work with. Second Fan of Knives, same thing. Now your SI7 agent will be able to trade into the Sludge Belcher nicely. Drawing to the Eviscerate though Now, one could argue that playing Eviscerate, he does play it with the prep instead of just the 2 mana. And when you do this, the Eviscerate makes sure that this SI7 agent doesn't die to the Sludge Belcher. It instead clears out the 1/2 from the board. Blade Master, Norchar into Circle of Healing, draw cards. Actually draw 2 cards, since you're utilizing the hero power first as well. Downside being you do heal the SI7 agent as well, but you get 2 cards for it. It's not that bad. A 4/7, 3/5 and a 1/3 against an All Rogue, which has 8 hit points left. I don't think he has lethal yet. 7 damage on the board, or he might. He actually might. That's 3 plus 3, that's 6 plus flurry. So 12 damage from the weapon and 10 damage from the minions. It is enough. 22 while the priest was at 21. Now this is the burst potential of a true Oil Rogue. He top decked that Blade Flurry to make the game for himself. 1-0 in favor of the Ukrainian Juristis right now. That Oil Rogue showing us what the burst potential of it really is. Now had Danny healed himself instead of using the hero power on the minion, he would have been at 23 hit points. And that would have been significant. That would have actually enabled him to live for 1 more turn, but only get 1 less card in the draw. So maybe he would have been able to turn the game around had he healed himself instead of being greedy with the card draw. But that's one game before. Let's move into the next one. We're seeing Danny still stick with his priest, and Yuri going with his shaman. This matchup is actually quite difficult for me to call. The shaman currently a bit underrated, considered to be one of the weaker classes of the GVG expansion, not getting as much love as the others. He runs things like the Arcane Nullifier, so that speaks in favor of this being a mech shaman of some sort. On the other hand, he's got the creepers and the spirit wolves, so it's maybe a token shaman of some sort. Hard to tell. We'll have to wait and see what the actual results are. Forced to just hero power on turn 2 against a Dark Cultist, which will be able to efficiently deal with the Spirit Wolf. Danny's hand also looking pretty good despite these double Shadow Word deaths existing right now. Coining out the lesser heal on the injured Blade Master. Probably because he's afraid of Lightning Bolt or Rockbiter weapon. Had it been at 3 hit points, either one of those cards would have been able to clear it efficiently. Now he would have to utilize some bigger form of damage, something like a Crackle. And Juristis' hand is very bad right now. No targets for the Big Game Hunter. You don't really want to Feral Spirit, because if you would Feral Spirit this turn, then the turn 6 Fire Elemental would be denied, and you definitely want to use the Fire Elemental come next turn. He's basically forced to play the Arcane Nullifier. He could have arguably gone for the Lightning Storm, but that would have just buffed the Blade Master some more. On 5, the Vol'jin getting value by destroying the Taunt minion's hit point pool down to 2. And that Circle Healing, having healed for 6 hit points altogether, means that the Battle Cry from the Fire Elemental suddenly became a much less useful thing to have. And wow, that's beautiful. Getting the Wrath of Air Totem means that this Earth Shock will make a humongous impact on destroying the Vol'jin. At 3 mana, either Lightning Storm or Feral Spirits. Now the Feral Spirits once again deny turn 7 Fire Elemental from being played because of the fact that it overloads for 2, but the Lightning Storm also overloads for 2, so... One could say that not playing anything in that situation would have been fine as well. Because both of these wolves will just be destroyed and they will do effectively nothing. This Alkanasal Priest making sure that the heals will be able to start removing the opposing hero power despite the fact that it's an O2 minion. Lucky Wrath of Air, once again, Earthshock would deal 2, Lightning Storm deals 3 to 4. Which minion will Dark Cultist buff? The Alkanasal Priest. This situation is fine if the priest. He has the Pyromancer, which would deal 1 damage to all of these minions, but he doesn't have any spells he could activate right now. So he's just playing it down as a vanilla creature instead of the Blade Master. Yeah, the Fire Elementals are a constant threat. And I understand why he plays the 3-2 over the injured Blade Master, because it would be a risk. Losing a smaller impact minion makes less of a difference. Now let's see where the heal goes to, and it does go into the Blade Master, just to deny that second Fire Elemental from getting any value. He doesn't know that it's in there, but he knows there's a possibility that it might be there, and this is very smart play on their part. Juristis playing down the Lothar means that it will not be destroyed by the Shadow of Death come this turn, but it's just a 1-turn delay. This Harrison Jones is probably going to get held on to for quite a while, because of the fact that there could be a combination with a Doomhammer or something to that effect. If he plays the Death Rattle Mace, that would also be a possible removal with Harrison. Shaman has got 3 weapon options, 2 of which are very commonly played. I understand why he does that. With the Flame Tongue Totem, he enables the removal from his own Fire Elemental, and he has seen 2 Shadow Word deaths being played out, so those are no longer a threat. Danny might have the Mind Control for the Fire Elemental, but that's pretty much it when it comes to removal of big guys. Of course, Dr. Boom, being Dr. Boom, is able to trade into the Fire Elemental as well, but... Oh wow, the Stone Claw Totem, well, it will be removed by the Boom Bots, but the Boom Bots will not activate their Death Rattle. The 8-5 to the face before attacking into the Boom Bots makes sense, yep, because you want to make sure that even if bad RNG hits, the Fire Elemental gets value by going into the face. And since he's been holding on to the Big Game Hunter, it will get humongous value to begin with, taking out one of those rare targets that a priest deck might run. Dr. Boom or maybe Ragnaros. Let's see what he draws into. Power Word Shield, that's not gonna help a whole lot.
Is someone injured?
Cleric, shield the Cleric. Consider maybe playing the Light of the Naru on your own face. Sludge Belcher, Light of the Naru on your own face, and then heal yourself to buff up the Light Warden. You actually want to draw cards. That's the reason why you're killing up the Wrath of Air. Personally would have maybe liked to have seen an attack first onto the Stoneclaw Totem. But it's a really small difference. Doesn't really matter if you heal the Wrath of Air or if you heal the Stoneclaw Totem. The only difference being that the Wrath of Air has got attack value and the Stoneclaw Totem does not. On the other hand, now that you have dealt the damage to the Taunt Totem, it will be removable with just 1 damage coming this turn. Now Juristis had 16 damage on board, but he doesn't have the necessary amount of damage output in his hand to validate going just for face. Opting to go for the board clear makes a lot of sense. He does put himself at a position where any sort of AoE would deal significant amounts of damage. But I guess he feels comfortable enough to close out the game as early as possible to just really flood the board with minions. When you're playing Shaman, if you lose the board, they're not really coming back too fast. It's one of the downsides of the class currently. It doesn't really have a comeback mechanic as such. The 1-2 probably gonna get removed with the Arcane Nullifier. It's the perfect amount of damage. Opting to use the 3-1 to buff his own Nullifier before going for it. If you freeze the face in this matchup, it doesn't really matter. When you look at the hands of Dany and Juristis, he's probably not gonna play the Zombie Chow because the fact that it could end up healing the priest for too much at this stage. You're better off just holding on to it. Yep, there we go. Holding on to it as a threat. The opposing player doesn't know what the card is. Soul Priest, if there had been a circle of healing left from before, it could have wiped the entire board clear. Unfortunately though, he's forced to use it just with the lesser heal for damage output. Top deck Flame Tongue Totem means that any sort of semblance of board control will be removed. Holy Fire dealing 5 damage, probably on the Flame Tongue Totem, that denies 4 damage from the opposing side of the board. Yep. Buys you one more turn. Despite the fact that Juristis has got a very, very significant board presence, and with the Defender of Argus he's gonna have even more. Oh. Opting to not play the Defender of Argus, instead going for Hero Power. I think that's a mistake. He's flooded the board with just Hero Power minions. He could have easily buffed the Spectral Spiders to give himself more damage output. The heal from the Healing Totem, or the potential 1-1, is not that significant.
In the light's name.
And yes, you're gonna play out the Harrison Jones this turn, because you're not gonna be alive for a very long time anyway if you don't start pushing out your own minions. Dany, well, I think... No, Juristis is still going for the damage play. He should have first played out this AoE, because now he wasted one of the Spectral Spiders. On the other hand, he wanted to make some room onto the board so he can play his Defender of Argus. And that makes a lot of sense. Well, here's the Holy Nova. It's a little too late. Close, but no cigar. Had it been here 1 or 2 turns earlier, it would have actually cleared the board, except for the Snow Chugger. So, 2, 5, 7. Still missing 4. If you draw into Rockbiter Weapon, not enough. That's missing 1. If he had had the Spell Power Totem into Lightning Bolt, that would have been enough for 4. Nope. That's a completely dead card. The second circle does absolutely nothing, and this is gonna be a concede from Dany. Juristis gets game number 2. So 2 in a row, it is now 2-0, and the Priest not proving itself in this format. He will be facing a Warrior. So against a Warrior, you don't want to be playing the Priest. Rogue or Warrior of your own. We might see a Warrior Mirror matchup right now. Nope, Dany goes for the mid-range oil Rogue over the Warrior. I don't know what to say about that. It is a mid-range deck. It has the potential to burst out the Warrior fairly early on. I think the odds are in his favor ever so slightly. Control Warrior doesn't really have any that bad matchups. It's usually just maximum 40% is like the worst. So it's still anybody's game to call. No coin for the SS7 engine probably means it will be played as a vanilla 3-3 on turn 3. Meanwhile, Juristis is just happy, trying to boost up his own hit point pool as far as possible.
This guy's toast.
The 3-3 will get removed with the Fiery Wind Axe. Yep, there is no other play in this situation. Holding onto the coin as well. For there to be a turn 4 Acolyte of Pain into Activator with the Taskmaster. This big game hunter more than likely gonna end up being a dead card for this match. So you can coin out either the Sludge Belcher or go for the Activator with the Taskmaster. But the safest play to remove, and the only play to remove the Violet Teacher from the board, is to Shield Block, Shield Slam. If he has the second Shield Slam, he'll be able to take out the 4/4 Drake as well. Unfortunately, he doesn't. He's using the weapon, combined with the Taskmaster's Battle Cry to take it out. Left with 3 mana, double Acolyte of Pain, popping one of them down. Makes a lot of sense. On turn 6, you can go for the Death Spite, kill whatever there might be coming out from the opposing player. 3 damage, just so you deny the Acolyte of Pain from drawing more than 1 card. Makes a lot of sense. With this Death Spite combined with the Taskmaster, you can clear out this Loatheb. And that's exactly what's going to happen, especially given that the Loatheb denies you from playing any of those spells you so much want. And then just hero power up. Thus far, the warrior has been able to handle all of the aggression from the Oil Road. Prep Sprint for 4 cards for 4 mana. You want to see something with a 3 mana cost. There we go. The Earthering Farseer provides something onto the board. That Spite will probably get procced on it. The Acolyte of Pain should be played before it as well. The Sylvanas, not really worth it. The Sludge Belcher combines well with your hero power, but you can pop the Acolyte for that extra card draw from the Death Spite proc. Before that, he wants to see what the card draw would be from the Shield Block as well. Nothing significant. If you coin it out, that means he's gonna go for the Spelcher and not for the card draw from the Acolyte of Pain. I would value the card draw quite highly right now, especially given that there is the Wicked Knife worth 3 attack value on the board. So the Belcher can be handled. Backstab attack, now that he's got double backstab especially. And the combo from the Violet Teacher synergy starts paying off. He'll also be able to use this Earthering Farseer to get a value trade from the 1/2, now that the Death Spite was not used. Oh, he wants to use the backstab to clear out the 1/2. Flooding this board with 1/1 Violet Apprentices at this stage makes no significance, given that the Death Spite Death Rattle is still unprocced. He's just gonna attack into Violet Teacher, kill off all of these 1/1s and the Violet Teacher. Well, prioritizing the Brawl right now. That's a good call. Anything that survives, you'll be able to take out, and the Brawl is unlikely to get a better board in this matchup at any stage. I'm going to go for the Acolyte draw right now, when there is no dagger as a threat. That is a good call. Thalnos for spell damage. You don't want to go for the Blade Flurry, not right now. You want to go for the Sharp Sword Oil plays. I would even expect him to just go for face and play the heal bot. Wasting the Eviscerate on an Acolyte of Pain is painful. I don't want to see that. On the other hand, if you don't use the Eviscerate on the Acolyte, then he will be able to draw more than just 2 cards from it by attacking into the Thalnos, removing the spell damage as well. That was 5 damage onto a 2 damage target. These are the situations that you're forced to go to when you're badly behind and the Control Warrior is starting to gain momentum. I don't think there's a way for the Oil Road to come back right now. Even if he gets... Oh wow, double Fan of Knives would otherwise be fine, but now that the Armor Smith is up there, you're just giving the opposing warrior 2 hit points when you cycle this card away. It does absolutely nothing. If you Tinkers first, then you can disable and remove the Armor Smith before it becomes able to flood more hit points with a warrior. Now these Now these fans can be used without much threat. The prep of is no targets, no reason to use it yet. No big targets to use the sap on either. Alexstrasza is not perfect, but there are really no options available to Danny right now. He's just forced to try and delay the match. It's gonna be insignificant. If he had Grom plus Activator, then yes, the game would be over, but he already used both his Cruel Taskmasters, and he's not holding on to Grom. So it's just, once more, Alex onto the field, and another sap on the Alex. Yep. Buying himself one more turn. Do we see Alex number 3? He values the Loatheb. Nope. Yeah, if he plays the Loatheb, he's still unable to play anything else onto the board, because they all cost 6 or more. So the biggest minion onto the board is the best call. Prep Sprint for try to get some answers. You still have 6 mana left. With the deck hand you could charge, but you would still need something to boost its damage output. Blade Flurry deals 4 damage. With the Eviscerate combo you are able to kill off the 8/4. And then re-dagger up, go for face damage. He's gonna hold on to the charges for now because he wants the Deadly Poison to get as much value as possible. As a Drake, enabling the Flurry to be a bit bigger than normal. Still not a good position to be in. Yep, not many cards left, 1 in the deck and 6 in his hand. With 7 cards he's forced to push 27 damage into Juristis. It is looking a whole lot like Juristis will take the series 3-0. Even with the Poison Flurry, that's 6 plus 2. If you use the Drake before you Flurry, then you can kill off this opposing Dr. Boom. Actually, no, you're not. You're one damage off, so you want to play the SI7 agent to finish him off. And you have the perfect mana for it as well, to combine both 3 drops into what you have. Now there's 1 card in the deck, 1 card in the hand, and you're just drawing fatigue damage, nothing else. Whirlwind into Geddon will clear the board, and the armor up will mean you're way out of reach of the rogue player. Last card doesn't matter. It's an Edwin. Little too late. Actually, way too late. So now, that's it. Our player from Ukraine, Juristis, takes the series 3-0. I will give the players a short time to take a break. This is the Hearthstone.fi Monday Night Community Tournament number 22. You're watching Markus, Olodyn, Koskivirta. I will be your caster for the final as well. The final will be Juristis from Ukraine versus Korodax from Germany.